Good afternoon, 6-4 parents. Mr. Hagedorn here with our weekly update. Monday is an early release day. Just want to remind you guys of that. Kind of a weird early release on a Monday. So kids will be dismissed at 1 o'clock on Monday. Rest of the week is normal. All right, in Math 6 next week, we will be continuing to talk about decimals. We started some multiplication with decimals today. We'll continue that next week. And then we will move on to division, both with and without decimals. In Math 6 Plus next week, we will have a study guide we're working on Monday. The quiz will be Tuesday. That is going to be on dividing fractions, as well as figuring out how many not unit cubes fit inside a rectangular prism. We will then move on to our decimal unit. We'll start talking briefly about adding and subtracting decimals, and then move on to multiplying and dividing decimals. All right? Have a great weekend. We will see you on Monday.
Hello, hello. Next week in ELA, we are starting Unit 3, which will be concrete poetry. So students will be reading many different concrete poems on different adversities faced on children their ages. We will have our last assessment on our last 3 monologues in our book, Good Master, Sweet Ladies. That's slated right now for Tuesday. Students will also be taking a Fast Bridge assessment next week. Right now on the calendar, it looks like we're going to have that on Thursday. And looking forward to our concrete poetry unit. You guys have a great weekend.
All right, owls. Science update. Before I get started, this owl reminds me of like Simon Cowell from like American Idol back in the day for some weird reason. Either way, this past week we've been working on wave behaviors, which affect both mechanical and EM waves. Anything from reflection, absorption, scattering, transmission, all these different behaviors that waves do that make up the world around us. However, next week is my favorite week of the year. It is Cow Eye Week. So this is what's going to happen. On Monday, I'm going to ask your student if they're comfortable with doing the cow eye dissection. If they are not, they do not be forced to be in the room, and I will find a nice safe place away from the cow eyes so none of them blink at the people that don't want to be in there. However, we're going to learn about the parts and functions of the eye, how they work, and strange enough, the cow eye has the same parts and functions as a human eye. They just have one additional part, which we'll get into on Thursday. That's the day of the dissection, and then we're going to end the week with Mr. Martin in science class.
Okay, let's talk social studies for a few quick moments, and we'll kind of talk a little bit about what we're doing after we show you that this says dance. That's always important. So we have a dance coming up today. That'll be exciting. So let's talk social studies. So we've moved from religion, which we finished last week, and now we're talking about the achievements of the ancient world. So that's invention, that's innovation around ancient technologies. So we started off with writing being one of the more important things that was invented in the ancient world, was the ability to take our ideas and put it down in a permanent way. So we've been talking about the history of writing, the alphabet, those types of things. We got into the idea of cuneiform, this old, some would say the very first written language, and we got even played with it a little bit and pulled out some clay today, and we used these little stylus tips, and we made little triangular marks and started to work out and see if we couldn't write in cuneiform today. It was kind of a fun activity. Ask your kids about it. Next week, we're going to continue our unit on achievements, talking about some Chinese achievements, inventions, and innovations. We're going to be talking about some ancient art, mostly from the Greek and the Roman world. On Thursday of next week, Cow Eye Dissection Day, we're also going to have an interesting day because our mummies are being unwrapped then. The 35 days of drying has happened, and so in here is a mummy that we're going to pull out of the natron and see what has happened to it as it's been sitting on our windowsills for 35 days, since a month and a half or a month and a week ago. We will end our unit on achievements right before we get ready to track out with some architecture, mostly around Roman architecture and achievements around the architecture in and around the Roman world. So that's what's coming up. Exciting things. If you have any questions or any concerns, let us know. And if not, we will see you back here next week.